Here the Orach Chaim HaKadosh asks a phenomenal question. We find that the Dor HaMidbar, they died over a 40-year period, and they didn't go into Eretz Yisrael. This Chas v'Sholom, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says something, and he should renege on his promise. God's reneging. Chas v'Sholom, it's not possible. We have the four expressions of redemption, and what's Pasuk Ches? Ve'vesi eschem el oretz asher nososis yodi lo sisoso. I will bring you to the land. In fact, she never brought them to the land. It's the next generation, right? The children came. They didn't come to the land. She explains. You're answering, or I'll show you in a moment why what you're saying is not correct. This. Yeah, but he said all of them are going, right? The vast majority didn't make it, right? So he says, the Orach Chaim HaKadosh says in V'lokachti eschem lo v'yislechem lokim v'datem ki ani Hashem lokechem hamotzi esem tachsev l'b'tzroim. There's a condition. I'm taking you as my people, and then v'datem. But in addition, you have to know that I took you out of Egypt under the sufferings, and then ve'vesi. But if you question that I'm the one who took you, meaning, and I can't take you in the future, if you have a question of that, then you don't go in. You have to meet that criteria. The vidatim is a precondition to the vivesim. This is the Orach Chaim HaKadosh. Okay? Kodesh Baruch Hu doesn't have to make a Tanai Kofel. Okay. We'll talk about it. Now, over here, okay, so then it says, over here the Baal Turim says something phenomenal. Then it says, V'nosati so lochem morosh ani Hashem. What does it say? V'nosati so lochem Yerusha, right? Eretz Yisrael is a Yerusha. What is it, morosha? Right? Yerusha is inheritance. Morosha means you're taking something to give over. So that's the Baal Turim says the word morosha is alluding because they're not getting themselves. It's to give it over to the children. They're not going in. So the morosha is already alluding to the Chet HaMeraglim that they're not going to Eretz Yisrael. It's going. I'm giving it to you only for what value? To give it to your children. You people are not going in. Okay. Take a look. Siv morosha v'lo Oma Yerusha remez shemarisha v'lo yorshi li'konsul oretz. The Baal Turim. Okay. Vaydaber Moshe came al Bnei Yisrael. Moshe spoke as he was told to the Bnei Yisrael. Lo shoma al Moshe b'kotzer ruach me'avoda kosher. They didn't listen to Moshe because they were short-winded. Avoda kosher. So over here, there's also a very important Sforno. Very important. Now, if they would have believed at this moment, it says they didn't have the capacity to fully comprehend and appreciate what Moshe was saying. Why? Because they were short-winded, they had certain limitation in their spirit, and because they were overwhelmed with work. So he says, Kululi avoda kosher. Second. What did he say? He said something here. Yeah, excuse me, earlier. V'lo shamu Moshe posuk tes. Lisbon chozel bin yishivtchu b'yeshua sakel. Hear this? They didn't reflect sufficiently. They should have faith in God's salvation. The Yashulem L'tzedakah. We find that by Avraham Avinu, he didn't have a child. Hashem says he's going to have a child. It says he believed. When it says he believed, it says V'achshvel L'tzedakah. That was considered righteousness that he believed, right? By Avraham Avinu. So over here he says that they would have believed now, despite all the issues, all the difficulties. It would have been the Yashulem L'tzedakah, Kinyan Ba'Avram, Chen Lus Kayim. And he says, therefore, the mitzvah was not fulfilled that I'm giving it to you was given to their children. If they would have accepted what was said here and they would have embraced it, they would have gone to Eretz Yisrael. But because they didn't have sufficient bitochon, they did not. Therefore, that's why they didn't go in, because what was the failing of Raglit? The failing was bitochon. They didn't have trust. They didn't have trust in Hashem. Because, everybody has, but what's going to be? You don't have to worry what's going to be. It's going to work out.
Because
of what they did now, Therefore, later, the failings, they're not going to have sufficient merit to go because they're not going to have, as they don't have trust now, they're not going to have trust in the future. If somebody came through for you endless times over, are you worried Hashem's not going to come through for you? So you have the quota. But you're leaving. So what's the avodah kosher? I always give the example. I always give an example. A person has a relationship with somebody for 50 years. They've been through thick and thin together. They've had a relationship for 50 years. And the father says to the son, he says, you see this man? You could trust him with your life. And the son believes the father. Doesn't question the father. But the level of trust of the son could be at the level of the father unless he has personal experiences. It's not possible. It's all, I believe you. That's abstract belief. That's intellectual belief. But belief in terms of trust, that's something you must feel. Right? He believes his father. He doesn't question his father. But the father, because of his relationship and his actual experience with that person, it's a different level. You understand? So therefore over here, if you would have that, the trust where you internalize it, there's avodah kosher, there's kotzer ruach, it's all irrelevant. We're going out tomorrow. Of course I believe God. I believe you're the Redeemer. But there's always the but. So when they saw all the issues in Midbar with the Meraglim, how are we going to do it? Of course God has the ability. But there's always, again, it's at the same level. It's abstract trust. It's not reality. It's not internalized trust. It says they failed now, they will fail in the future. So that's what the Sforno says, because they didn't have bitochon, Yeshua Sakel, they didn't have trust in God's salvation now, therefore in the future they failed. They didn't meet. You could explain, maybe. Okay. Okay. Hashem says to Moshe, saying, Bo daber Paro melech Mitzrayim, go speak to Paro, the king of Egypt. Vishalech es bnei Yisrael mi'artzo. What does he have to refer to Paro as melech Mitzrayim? We know Paro is the king of Egypt. We explained, if you remember, by the Mialdos, initially the king of Egypt summoned. He's not referred to as Paro. Twice, and when he summoned them, that they didn't follow his dictate, again, the king of Egypt. After it says, because they feared Hashem, it says they spoke to Paro. Paro, you're immortal. So therefore it's irrelevant to the king of Egypt. Over here, Hashem says, go speak to Paro, the king of Egypt. What does that mean? Paro, the king of Egypt. Although Paro is the king of Egypt, and he has his persona that he's the equivalent of God himself, he's the man who sits on the throne, and he's the king of Egypt. In terms of if you remember at the beginning of Yisro, it says it was Melech Kosher, and what? And the people were difficult. It's two things. He was a difficult person, and being king of Egypt was also. I mean, this was power. Despite him and the power he has, he will send out. That's what he's telling Moshe up front. He will be broken, he will send you people out. If the Jews themselves who are the beneficiaries, how's Paro going to heed my word? If the Jews aren't willing to listen, is Paro going to listen? And in addition, I mean, the actual difficulty is, I mean, we went through it. He already lost the kuna at the burning bush, right? And if God answered all your questions, if God says, go, even though he's power with Moshe, he will send you out. He says, but if the Jews don't listen, how is he going to listen? God says he's going to send you out. What are you worried about? You know? What kind of question is this? How do we understand it? No, that's not his question. Eichish meni Paro. He's concerned Paro won't listen. He's concerned Paro won't listen to him. The Jews are already not listening. But he says if the Jews will, it's in their benefit to listen, so the man which is not in his benefit definitely is not going to listen. But God says He will listen. The Gemara says if you have a Kal V'chomer, the Gemara says, what do you need a pasuk to teach you a certain halacha? Because you have a Kal V'chomer that tells you differently. So the pasuk says, despite the Kal V'chomer, this is the halacha. So this is the same thing here. You have a Kal V'chomer. It's illogical that they're going to listen, but God says He will listen. That's like the Gzeres HaKosov. Yeah, exact same thing like what the Gemara says. What do you need a pasuk to tell you a certain halacha? Because if you didn't have the pasuk, I would draw a Kal V'chomer and say it would be differently. The pasuk says, despite the logic, it doesn't make a difference. So Hashem says, despite your logic, it doesn't make a difference. I told you He's sending him out. He will send you out. Same. Yes, yes. Yeah, but that's not my... He doesn't have to worry about being killed. They already had an interaction in last week's parsha. Leave the people alone. You're causing me a financial loss. He should have killed him immediately. That's the question. Why did he kill him? The answer is he couldn't kill him. He realized he's a man. You can't kill this man. If you read the Medrash, when Moshe came back. It says he met his brother Aaron in the Midbar in the desert, and they were walking. There were 400 entrances to the palace of Paro. Each entrance had predator animals which hadn't been fed in days, and unless you were admitted, you were devoured by them: bears, tigers, lions. Moshe and Aaron, the Gemara says that Moshe was 10 amos in height. That was his height. There's a question, Levium were also 10 amos. Tomorrow in Shabbos discusses this. They had exceptional height, the Levium. You know, you could say Moshe definitely was. Moshe definitely was 10 amos. The question is, were all Levium also? Because Moshe says, how did he spread the covers on the Mishkan? Mishkan was 10 high. So how did he spread the Krushim with 10? You know, they didn't have ladders, or they didn't get on top of one another's shoulders, you know. What was acrobats called? The Walesa, the brothers, whatever the Italians or wherever they're from, okay. So but Aretz, it says he sees two people coming. Their eyes shine like the sun. Their beards are flowing like the palm branches, and the comings. So they come to tell Paro, I think you've got a problem. They immediately, you know, they have lookouts. Two people are coming. They look like people you're going to have to deal with. You're not going to be able to dismiss these people. So Paro, you know, he deified himself. He said he never had to do his bodily functions. But he had an emergency location in the bowels of the palace that unless he didn't have time to go down to the Nile to do his bodily functions, he would actually relieve himself in the palace. Hidden away. Not sure who the architect of the palace was. He knew the secret. Okay, could be. So what happened was he goes in there, and you know he from fright he didn't have any medication. Okay, so he went and did his bodily function. As he sits down to his bodily function, 10 rats come, rodents, and they start biting him as he's trying to relieve himself, and he's screaming from pain. They're biting him. The rats. He finishes doing what he has to do. He comes out. And Moshe, as they come near these animals, they become docile. And they start licking their feet. So they understand. They have a problem. I mean, here, they should have been devoured. They're not being devoured. They go in, and they say, Hashem Elokeinu shlachani aleichem. Hashem, the God of Israel, sent us. Send out the Jews. Mi Hashem Hashem Elokolo. Who's God that I shall listen to God? So the Gemara, so the Medrash says, a moment ago you were screaming like a child from being bitten by the rodents, and now you have the audacity to say, Mi Hashem, Hashem Elokolo. So it says, you forgot what happened a moment ago. You forgot what happened a moment ago. So what is it? How long does it take to forget? A moment. A moment ago you were vulnerable. You realized who you were, that you're nothing. And now you speak with such arrogance. Who is Hashem? I should listen. So I always say, a person has a little more than two nickels to rub together, and he's together with people who have little less than him. He's arrogant. He walks into a room, adjacent room, we have millionaires, and he has $1,000. The other people don't have a penny to their names. When he deals with them, he deals arrogantly. When he goes with these wealthy people, so what's the difference between the two locations? He just has to walk through that door space, the doorway. One side of the door, he's arrogant. He goes in the other, he feels he's nothing. So how long does it take to forget what you were just on the other side of the door? Right? Just a moment. That's the only difference. It passes, you're back to your arrogant stance. To be continued. You work it out. 400 years. The bondage was 400 years. Kadma Vazlo. 190. Right. The Chassam Sofer.